Okay, good evening. I'm going to start a little early. That's probably going to throw everybody off since I've scheduled this for 9 p.m., but I'm ready to go. At least I hope I am. So, good evening. Randy Small coming to you all from my office here in Linden. And yeah, I've had a ton of questions about is it going to snow this week? Everywhere I go, people are asking me, is it going to snow this week? So, we're going to talk about that here in just a minute and try to, uh, kind of see what might happen. But honestly, in the end, it's going to be like we look up and is it snowing? Yes. How long will it snow? I don't know. How much snow? Probably not a lot, at least in the lowlands. So we're gonna touch base on this. Let me just make sure things are going here. Oh, I see. So I started the live stream on YouTube early, which probably means that it's not going. I thought I could start a live stream early, so let me just see if it's not going yet. It is definitely going on. Okay, YouTube is going. Okay, maybe I messed this up by starting it early. So, oops. Oh well. People will figure this out. Am I live on Facebook? I guess that's the other question. Let's see if I've got everything correct before I get going here. Looks like I'm live on Facebook now. It took a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little extra time to get going there. So, good evening from yeah, and I probably messed up the original live stream. Now I have two set up. I may have to go in and delete that one, and maybe people will figure out that it got moved over. Obviously, I schedule live. I cannot start it early. It appears to me. It just kind of starts a new one. I think. Yep, it did. And I apologize on that. I am sorry. I'm going to delete that one because that's going to cause people problems when they go to let me quick do that. When they go to try to watch that one, it's not going to be there. So let me delete it because there is, man, I learn something new every day. Yeah, I'm going to move this live stream. Has been moved to a new link. Yeah, apologize about that. I thought this would be real easy to do, and I could start early, and people would be excited that they don't have to stay up all night to watch this. But yeah, let me see. I'll just leave that up for now, and I'll get it later. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here tonight. Let's see. You should be able. I know we usually start with this. Let's just take a look quickly because this is not why you're on here. But it is a crisp night tonight. We got a cold trough coming over us, or coming from BC down to us. It's going to cool us off. Last night or this morning was everybody was just about below freezing, but that's probably going to happen. Although it will be clouding up, or it has been clouding up, so we'll see how cold it really gets tonight with that cloud cover. But a lot of 30s, mid 30s here tonight, so nothing earth-shaking, not much for wind. So, hi David, good to see you. Yeah, I don't know if that special hat's ever coming out. By the way, I got a story about that special hat coming up here in just a moment if I remember to tell it. So, but I was going to quick check at our up-to-date month at BLI. We're at 2 inches of rain, just over 2 inches, and normal is a little under 3. So, it looks like the month overall, although as you'll notice here coming up, and it's not going to be as wet as what we thought. Coming up, although we've already got a bunch of rain. What was it 2 days ago? Friday, rain pretty much all day. So not near the record though. The record for February 13th, 2 days ago, is 2.4 inches. It looks like here. Hopefully everybody can see my graph up here. I think you can. But 2.4 inches. So nowhere near. We got half an inch at BLI, just over. But 2 inches, we're a little warmer, 3 degrees above normal up to this point. That will come down. And then observed low is 36 degrees. The normal low average for this up through this time of the year in February is 34.4. So definitely warmer than normal. Definitely wetter than normal so far up to this point. So, and again, I apologize. If you schedule a YouTube live, I guess I have to wait until the actual moment to start it and not start it early because it did not like that. So, oh well. It is what it is. Hopefully people will figure it out. And I left that other link up just maybe Jen, you could drop the new link in the old one and point everybody over here. But because I didn't delete that old one, and I apologize. But let's just look at the ski area. It's 25 degrees. No new snow lately, but they did have 4 inches. It looks like overnight. And well, I guess they're not reporting 4 inches, although it looks like they had, unless that 4 inches was from earlier yesterday, and that could be the case. That must have been from yesterday morning. I apologize. Not overnight, but yesterday morning, because they're not reporting any new 24-hour snow, but 10 inches in the 48 hours as of this afternoon. But we've definitely got some new snow up there at Baker. In fact, if you look at the 7-day amounts here, just real quickly, because this is important. Yeah, they had 4 inches, and then looks like about 4 inches, and then 11 inches Friday night into Valentine's Day. So it looks like about 15 inches or so, maybe new snow, but somewhere in that range, at least around a foot of new snow up at the ski area. And of course, more as the higher you go. We don't have all that numbers here, but at the ski area, 4,200 feet. Definitely got some snow the last couple days, just not any today. As we had blue sky day. Beautiful day. Would have been a great skiing day, and also the mountain looked really nice this afternoon. Just didn't get a chance to snap a picture. One thing I want to point out here, looking at Heather Meadows' snow level point here, snow levels, this brown chart. Again, let me make sure. Yep, you should be able to see that. The line of elevation is 4,200. That's where the ski area Heather Meadows is. Well, you can see on this graph, can I make this a little bigger there? Hopefully you can see it a little bigger. It's about the highest the snow levels are for most of this week. And this is kind of an uncertainty. In other words, this is the highest they think the forecast could go. But at the highest, it's sitting there about 1,500, a little over maybe. But the blue dotted line is kind of where they think it's going to be. And you'll notice that we're under 1,000 feet tomorrow. And down to sea level, these are probably a lot of the overnight periods, but very low snow levels coming, okay? Very low snow levels all the way through Friday. And so that's something we have to keep in mind. That's key number 1 to get snow. You need snow levels to be low. So that's something that we'll mention as well. And then let's just dive right into the forecast. So I'm going to switch over to that and, well, take a look at the weather models would be a better way of saying that here. So let's take a look. You'll see the state of Washington, maybe the Pacific Northwest on some of these maps. You'll see some of the maps I'm going to show the state of Washington. Some of the maps I'm going to show a bird's eye view of North America. So let me start with just a brief kind of overview of where we are on these these blue and red maps. So hopefully you can see that here. And so we've got this big ridge sitting up here in the Gulf of Alaska, and it's kind of opening door for this trough to come down from BC. This ridge is not in the position for an Arctic outbreak. So what I want to say tonight, there will be no Arctic outbreak that I'm seeing in this forecast. Yes, we're going to have some cold evenings, and the question will be, will we get enough precipitation to produce any quick bursts of snow? That's about the best way I can say it. That could be an hour, it could be 20 minutes. And it's very possible this forecast is going to be like showery in nature. You know, sometimes we get showers in the spring, and sometimes you get that where your neighbor, well, you're not your neighbor, but your friend over in one town doesn't get anything, but you get, you know, a quarter of an inch. It's possible, and elevations could play a role in this too. Intensity of showers, but here's another thing. Is there even going to be precipitation around? And at what time? During the day when it's upper 30s, low 40s, it would take a lot to bring that snow level down. And so, but during the night, when you've got snow levels are pretty much down to 100, 200 feet, you're going to, and it's colder, that's where you could see some accumulations, especially in the foothills, and elevation. And when I'm thinking elevation, I'm thinking those foothills, I'm thinking East County, I'm thinking Samish, through the I-5 corridor there, south of Bellingham as you go into Alger area, those kinds of areas, the same old area, maybe even U Street Hill and maybe Church Road, those types of places. This is not an Arctic outbreak, and neither does it seem to be a big snow event. Okay? That's what I'm seeing so far. But does that mean somebody won't see, or how do I say this in the right way? Does that mean no one gets snow? That's not what I'm saying. Does it mean everybody gets snow? Probably not. That is what I'm saying. Who gets it? That's about you going out to buy a lotto ticket, and if the lottery was held just in Whatcom County, and you all bought lotto tickets. I don't play the lotto, but I'm just using this as an illustration. I don't know who's going to win the lottery. Okay? You're like, is it going to snow at my house in X or Y or Z? I don't know. Are you going to win the lottery tonight? I don't know. Maybe the person in Bellingham wins the lottery. I don't know who might see snow, but it is a possibility. It's on the table. It's there, but this is not a widespread event. Could it cause you some consternation? That's a big word. Could it cause you some issues? Well, yeah, if it snows and you're working at night and you're heading home and all of a sudden you get a burst of snow, that could be an issue. Roads could get icy quick. We're here to tell you that that's a possibility. I don't know which road it might snow on. But if you live in the foothills, be cognizant. You would be one of the prime people to get it. And you could get it several times this week. But, and a lot of people may never see a snowflake and they're like, what's the big fuss? Or not, some will not see it maybe. Okay? So that's kind of where I'm at. But what we're seeing here, I'm going to go back to this bird's eye view of North America. You see this trough, this kind of bluish and, cold colors. Trough is pushing down from BC as we go into Monday. And you see these greens. And it kind of somewhat, regurgitates, hangs around for part of this week. It does kind of dive south, which means a lot of our moisture is going to our south. Okay? But it hangs around as we go into Wednesday. You kind of see it comes a little more again here. It's hard to see this on this bird's eye view. Thursday, but again, this big portion of this trough is, there is some up here as well, but a lot of it's down to our south. And that's probably going to limit some of our precipitation as we go into this week. We'll see that. We'll check on the surface maps, because this is looking at 18,000 feet, way up in the atmosphere, but it gets us an idea of the pattern of what is coming as we go into Thursday. And it's cooler than normal. This is an anomaly map showing you we're going to be cooler than normal, okay? And let me just toss this back over to my forecast. Let me show you this, and I have to switch here. Let me just go back to this page, and let me show you the forecast just for Linden. Okay, here's Linden. And what do you notice about this forecast in Linden here? And we can look at any city of Whatcom County. I'm just using Linden, it's where I live. But what do we see? A snowflake. A snowflake. And this is at night, by the way. During the day, they're showing rain. Okay, the top left is the night. Okay? And then you see snowflake every, well, I guess it's the early morning hours of Tuesday. Tuesday night, the night hours. I might have misspoke on this here, but there is this slight chance of snow, 30%. Okay, look at the chance of snow at the end of the week. Don't worry about the end of the week. Look at our temps during the day: 43, 44, 42. You're gonna have a hard time having snow stick at that temperature. Okay, a little cooler Thursday, but look at the overnight temps: 29. Tonight is 33. It could get a little cooler than that. But as the clouds have come in, that's keeping you, instead of being 27 like we were this morning, because you got a clear night. It's cooler in the wintertime. We know that drill. Low of 29 Monday night, 27 Tuesday night. So you got a colder air mass, okay, overhead, because that trough coming down, and it's cooling us off. But there's a problem, and I see it right away. You don't even have to look much, but other than this forecast, and all what I see is these percents of precipitation, and I won't get into how they figure that out tonight. But I'm telling you, 40% is indicative of showers or showery nature. 30%. That's not a big chance. Is there a chance? Yes. Could somebody see snow in that? Yes. When will it happen? When will that precip fall? Will it fall when it's 44 degrees, or will it fall at 29 degrees? That's the hard thing about living next to an ocean or a sea that's 45 degrees, and a lot of our moisture coming off that. It's hard to get snow at 0 sea level. Okay? It's just difficult here. we have the Fraser Gap, and while I will mention that we will have some Fraser outflow, it's not the normal at this point Arctic outbreak where you're seeing this Arctic air pouring in from BC into Whatcom County. Okay, and it will feel colder than what we have. We've had a warm winter by far. We've had a fairly wet winter, but not a lot of snow in the mountains. Although some of that snow is getting pushed back. I just looking tonight, even that mountain snow probably not going to be as much because the bulk of this moisture seems to be keeps pushing south. Now somebody on the West Coast is going to get some snow in the mountains for sure. But that's about the best I can say. Now, as we dig deeper, let me go back to this, and I'll summarize this at the end. Let me go back to my blue and red map here, and let me kind of show you the surface precip map, not snow map. I just want to show you a surface precip map, so you'll see the state of Washington and Oregon, the Pacific Northwest. And actually, I'm going to zoom in on Washington because that's obviously, I mean, we could zoom in Seattle too, but let's go into Washington. And let's just look at the precip that's coming this week, just in this run tonight. Okay, let's kind of see where the precip ends up, at least off of this run. Okay, if that makes sense. Right now, I'm seeing you got this thing down in Oregon, and you got precip as we go. Some light precip maybe tomorrow. And in the night hours, they're showing some precip. But here's the thing. We got to see, this GFS, which is notorious for trying to give snow when it's too warm. There's more to it than just, we don't know. This is just a precip map. We don't know what the temps are. Okay, we can look at a snow map. But the resolution for this, too, is not very good. It's not like a high resolution. It's basically the resolution of these global models like the American and the Euro. The resolution is like they're looking at kilometer square blocks. And when they have a block, they put the block on these weather models. Sometimes it bleeds into Mount Baker, Mount Baker. And so they've got this big, and some of them are bigger squares. Okay, that's not very good resolution because it's bleeding that snow out into off the mountains into the lowlands. And these maps come out, these snow maps for these global models come out with these insane snow amounts, and we're like, yeah. And then you look at the temperature for our area for Bellingham, and it says 40 or 36, and I'm like, no, that's just the snow kind of bleeding out of the mountains, and the resolution's poor. On the higher resolution, they have smaller squares. So they get our terrain better, at least somewhat better. And so you have these smaller squares for what they have on the forecast map. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. But on these high resolution or these low resolution global, like this GFS, the global forecast system of the US, it struggles to see the terrain. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, let me continue on. As we go into the week, here I'm heading into Wednesday. You see a lot more moisture to our south. As we go into Thursday, we don't even have a half an inch of precip, okay? But look down here. Remember I said I think it's going to our south? You could see that on the big maps. We still don't have a half inch on Friday on this run. So we don't even have a ton in the mountains right up here for precip. Now, as we go toward the end of the week, more will fill in, but that could also change. So this is showery in nature with this precip, at least on this run. Let's take a look at the European from the 18Z for precip. Let's see if the European kind of concurs. Let's see. And I am zoomed out here, but here, let me just push this into the end of the week. And my point in this is to see where the precipitation goes. I'm almost to Friday here. This is total precip. This was the latest Euro. 0Z will be coming out in a little while. They don't even have a half an inch as we go into Friday. But look where Oregon and California, good for them. They need some mountain snow, and it'll be snow down there. But honestly, what we thought was looking good for mountains is not looking as good for up here. Now, one caveat, of all the mountain areas, we are still looking the best. Although I guess I haven't looked in the last week for our snowpack water equivalent. The northern part of Cascades was looking not great, but not looking horrible. What we need to see is more in the Olympics and the central Cascades. That's not good. The southern Cascades, Oregon Cascades, it would be a help. Northern California, this would be a good boost for them. And I said on my live last week, I said someone in the West Coast is going to get some mountain snow. It's just who will the winner be? later in the week, I thought we would get more, and we did. We got a foot of snow. That's good. That's a help. But I would sure like to see more off of this. But we also want to share down to our south because they're even in worse situation than we are, and I can show you that in a little bit. So we're just not seeing a ton of precip. I'm going to go over to the high resolution we call it the HRR for snow. And this probably would be more wet snow if it did fall. The other thing is our ground isn't frozen. So sticking to grass could happen quickly. Sticking to the roads, again, now if it happens at night, then it could stick to roads because it's colder and it's freezing or below freezing. The other thing is, because it's showery in nature, you could have a burst of rain or precip that could, what we call drawing down the snow levels. And so if it was like 38 degrees and it started dumping because we got cold air overhead, and there's other factors that are in this, but it will actually drag that snow level down closer to the surface, and it'll change over to snow, and your temperature will drop 5 degrees, and you'll go from 38 to 33, and you could get some snow to accumulate. The problem is on the roads, and I guess this is a good thing, is it wouldn't accumulate until that road was really cold. But if it's 40 degrees to start with, at 38, that road temperature is already elevated. Overnight, if that happened, you got a burst of, it was, looks like the overnight temperatures are going to be at or below freezing for most of the lowlands. But you could see it stick faster at night because the roads are at freezing already. It's just, when would the showers happen? Would it be intense enough to bring a snow level down? Elevation, you're already up in height, so you wouldn't have to have so much of that. Where in the lowlands we're at 100 feet or 0 feet if you're at next to the water. It would take more to bring that down, and so it's this combination of there's not a lot of precip. There's cold nights. If the precip matches up with the cold nights, or during the day and it's like 38 degrees and you get a heavy shower, maybe somebody sees that at lower elevations. And then there is the sneaker. There is the sneak thing, and I'll show you this. We might be missing something. It's possible a whole swath of an area could get a burst of rain that lasts for a couple hours and it dumps snow. I've seen that. But I can't tell you exactly where that's going to be. Now, if all the weather models are kind of picking up on that, then we might say, okay, I see Sutton Valley up to the foothills. There seems to be a swath that several of the weather high-resolution models are picking up on. Let's watch for that. And we might even see that on some of the runs here. And let me pull up the 0Z for snow. This is not a forecast. I mean, not that we really have much other than what I've already said to call this forecast. But I'm just pulling here. Looks like Monday in the morning, I'm not seeing anything for issues tomorrow morning because there's just not much for precip. And it's still cooling down as that cold trough comes down in tomorrow. Not seeing anything early on at this point, unless I guess I could be missing something. But you see, as we go in overnight here, this is later Monday afternoon, you see the showers, a little bit in these hills and up in Baker, pick up here. Okay, and I can zoom this in. Let me zoom this into, I can zoom this into Seattle. But you can see, now this is interesting. The HRR wants to run this precip. Here, let me zoom this in. And this is something these are the things that I like to key in on. Okay, the Seattle, or I zoomed into the city of Seattle, so it's closer for Whatcom County seeing this. I hope you all can see this. Yes. You see this snow? Again, don't buy that it's 2 inches, but it's giving some indication that it's trying to run some snow through the Lummi Island, Gooseberry Point, up towards Sumas. I'm just using that. I think I'm about right. Maybe even up into the foothills. But I think that's up towards Sumas. Okay, and then even trying to give a dusting overnight maybe to the whole area. But who knows if that's true? Is it picking up on something? I don't know. Then, what would be interesting is, okay, let's check the 2-meter temperature. The 2-meter temperature is right around freezing in that time, so that this could be. And then what you check is precipitation, and obviously there's precipitation because it's showing snow. There is precipitation. So maybe the HRR is onto something. So the first chance that we might have something seems to be Monday night into Tuesday. Okay? Monday night into Tuesday. And what else I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple other the high resolution models here. And let me, I skip back. Let me go back to Seattle here. Hang on one second. Okay, I showed you the HER. Let me show you another high resolution map. Let's see if it's picking up any snow. This is the North American model, the NAM. This is the 3K, so 3K squares, so small squares. It's picking up the terrain better. It's a high resolution map. The Olympics are getting some snow. Here we go into the later afternoon hours, kind of seeing some snow in these foothills, okay? But, and again, maybe through the Samish, Whatcom, Skagit hills, that borderline, you know, and up there on the lower, how do I say it, the lower foothills, and maybe even a little bit below that of the foothills, but nothing really in the lowlands. It's being picked up on the North American model, okay? And I'm showing you, this is how hard it is to try to figure out where it might snow coming up, okay? But there's not a 0% chance. Is that the right way of saying it? There might be a chance for some to see, and that's what I'm trying to say. I just don't know where it could be, but foothills, elevation, the higher you are, if you get precip and it's colder, obviously with elevation in these setups, with this cold trough coming, you could elevation, foothills, see. We had this in December, was it? No, early January. Some of you got it, an inch. I got video sent to me, and I went up. Silver Lake got snow. It got snow, it ended about Mount Baker High School. But you go up the highway, and there was an inch of slushy snow. And it's that kind of thing that we might see. Maybe some of the foothills score a little higher. You know, the 500 foot, the 700 foot, maybe scores a little bit higher. But again, how much precip is there? It's not a lot. Let me just show you the Canadian high res. I really love the Canadian high resolution. It's really seems to pick hard terrain, but sometimes it misses too. So here we go. Nothing much for Monday. I'm not seeing anything real tomorrow. But as we go overnight, see that? It's trying to pick some up in the foothills. No question about that. But then look at this. The Canadian is trying to pick some up. I mean, that's kind of pushing into the lowlands potentially. Might be some mostly foothills here. Again, it's hard to see. We're zoomed out on the county. But nothing real close to the water. Nothing in Linden. Not much really. I mean, I guess that would be the Samish Hills, maybe Sudden Valley. I don't know. But it's trying. Your guess is as good as mine. Other than elevation, it's the same thing. I repeat myself. I should just tape myself and record it and play this every year because it's the same thing. But it's very hard when the temps are marginal, and they are. When the precipitation is marginal, and it is, then who might get it? And will anybody see a whole lot? I don't know. But at least I'm telling you there's a chance. Be wary. Probably not tomorrow morning or into the afternoon, at least of now. Keep an eye on the page. Same old thing. Don't worry, if snow starts flying in the foothills, we will know. People go send me videos like crazy, send me pictures, and we will share those. And if you do take video, take it, and you want to share it with me, take it in vertical format because Facebook gets it out better. But if you don't remember that, that's fine. And if you send it to me through, I think, either Messenger or you email me, I can share it easier than if you just post it in a comment. You're great to post to a comment. Just a quick reminder, if you're on YouTube, like the stream, please. If you do, maybe you don't like it. I guess you can put a thumbs down. And to tell others about the YouTube channel that we've got started. And then Facebook, give us a love. I mean, and if you got questions, I'm going to hit those in just a second. Let me look at the UW. Last thing I want to do here before I take questions, and I expect a few tonight, is to take a look at the UW because I want to mention that there is a Northeast Fraser outflow chance coming this week. And I think Jen has already mentioned this, but I do want to mention this, that there could be, and we're not expecting a major Northeast Fraser outflow, but it's going to feel a little bit colder, you know, because we've been, like I said, warm. So just quickly looking at this, I think I'm still up, and I'll move this to the center. Hang on, let me stop this thing because the loop gets going here. Hang on. Okay, so I'm just going to look. I'm looking for northeast wind, and I can even zoom in here. I'm looking for northeast wind on this map. And it looks like Monday there could be some light northeast flow coming, but doesn't last very long. A little bit of southerly tomorrow as that trough comes in. Let me just see. But I think the outflow is more Tuesday. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Tuesday morning into Wednesday. And again, timing on this could be, sometimes it gets early and the northeast outflow is a little bit waylaid, especially in Arctic air setups. That's another story for another day. But we do see some Fraser outflow, that northeast wind. The barbs are pointing to the wind direction of which it's coming from. So the wind barbs are pointing to the northeast. That's some 20 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour northeast wind there. That's going to feel pretty cold with that cold trough coming from BC as well, coming down kind of the coast. And so this is Tuesday afternoon, even a little stronger overnight into Tuesday. And then Wednesday, and that just continues into Wednesday at varying speeds, probably into Thursday. So there's going to be some Fraser outflow. I don't think it's going to be crazy strong, and it's going to feel a little colder. Wind chills will feel a little cooler, no doubt, with the temperature, especially at night, or late afternoons once the sun is down, or in the mornings, okay? And that's another thing. Outflow is dry, it's dry air, as most of you who know about the outflow here and the chap lips and the static electricity. That also battles, that dry air eats up sometimes the moisture. And so we already don't have a lot of moisture. So that could at least eat up some of it if it were making an attempt. Yeah. And then let me quick look at the UW, which is high resolution. Let me zoom in on, I don't know if I can zoom in on this one. I had this set up here, but it was still running tonight. So let me just refresh this. So this is a snow accumulation. This is just looking at don't take this as the final answer. It's just giving us an idea. What I do like to see is the Olympics getting some here. This is the 24-hour period ending at tomorrow afternoon. But let's push this forward. This is a accumulated snow forecast. So for 36 hours. And you see very little, but the UW is trying to give a little bit of snow. But again, I don't think we know who might get it. But the foothills, yes. And this part here in this, I've noticed this on now 3 high resolution models tonight. This Whatcom Skagit line in the foothills area, maybe even the Highway 9. It could maybe even to the Acme area, but above those hills in that area is kind of where maybe it seems to be hinting at. Again, the foothills of that Whatcom Skagit line. So if you were living in Sudden Valley, possibly Sudden Valley, because it's a little bit of elevation, but if you were to look out your window and you could see those foothills on Tuesday morning, you might see some very low elevation snow by Tuesday morning. Could Sudden Valley itself see it? And then we got to think about, okay, roads, it's freezing, okay, icy roads. So again, that's something that we got to ponder here. And I'm just trying to get the word out through the live stream. And I know I've got to type up something for those who don't want to watch this boring live stream here. Here's the northeast wind. Not a lot of snow. This is out 48 hours. No, maybe I did this wrong. Hold on. You know what? I messed up. Hold on. That was 24 hours. I hit the wrong snow. Hang on. I'll fix this. Accumulated snowfall was really what I was wanting. Hold on. Let me just pull this loop. And let me stop this. Okay. Let's see. Okay. No snow tomorrow during the day mainly. It's not, but as we go overnight, that's where it's trying to again. Okay, and this is into Tuesday. We seen some snow in the Olympics, seeing snow in the Central Cascades and down in the South. We're only looking at Western Washington on this UW high res here. But as we're going into Wednesday, there ain't much snow on this map. There. That's all the way as far out as it goes. Thursday at 1 o'clock. It's still the same amount of snow that attempted to come Monday into Tuesday. That seems to be the main shot. So Monday into Tuesday. But again, we'll keep an eye on the rest of the week, but if you go back to the forecast that we looked at earlier, hold on, let me pull this up. This forecast we looked at earlier, you just don't have a ton of moisture chances as you go in midweek. This Monday night, Tuesday, later Monday into Tuesday morning seems like our best chance for somebody to score something. But as you go in the week, 30%, 30%, 30%, 20%, not much, So, and again, this seems to be going to our south at this point, which is not good for our mountains, but somebody hopefully down there gets it, at least in the mountains. So, okay, let me look at the comments. I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. Thanks for joining me tonight. Again, Randy Small, Whatcom County Weather, coming to you from my office here in Linden. Just talking about the snow chance for this week. We have not had any low elevation snow this winter. We have no winner in the 1-inch snow contest at my house. I'm not certain that I'm going to see that this week. Okay? Thanks to all those who are saying hello and good evening. Appreciate that. I'm sorry that we got mixed up on the YouTube stream. And so people are asking if they're getting snow in like Blaine and in the valley. And you know, again, I'm going to kind of summarize it this way. I don't know who could get snow. Right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of there's no widespread chance at this point. Now, that, you know, if this upper level low stayed a little further north, if this trough, if it didn't dive as far south, if it hangs closer to the coast, there are some variables, but at this point, no weather models are showing that. So it would be a big surprise if everybody got a big snow. You'd probably fire me. I mean, is that a possibility? I mean, I've seen some surprises. That would be a big one. It'd probably be the biggest surprise I've ever done. But could you see snow? Yes, but it would have to be just right. The temperature has to be right. The precipitation has to be there, and there isn't a lot. The intensity, if it's during the day, would really have to drag the snow levels because we're going to the 40s or upper 30s during the daytime. So overnight is your best chance. Elevation is you're going to help you. But again, I can't even promise people in elevation that they're going to see snow just because we don't know. Where would the showers? It's like me trying to predict showers in the spring. Yep, we got chance of showers. And then I get rain here. I get a quick burst of rain. And just to the west of me, 5 miles, they're like, what rain? I got the sun peeking through the clouds. Well, that's spring showers. That's kind of what this setup is, if I could say it that way. Showery in nature. Linden, Molly asked about Linden. Sorry, can't. It's going to be at what we call a nowcast. Nowcast means when it happens, it happens. You're really trying to terrain forecast for snow when you got a 45-degree ocean is like, I'm trying to think. It's really difficult. You have to have 6 things come together to make it work. And we don't have major Arctic air sitting at this point. Now, it will get colder, but we don't have major Arctic air. It's not a major Arctic blast. So even the Fraser outflow, while it'll maybe feel cooler, still ultimately it's not the perfect setup for a big snow at this point. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. I appreciate the comments. Northwest Spirit wants a flake or two in Sun Valley. I wouldn't rule that out. I would not rule Sun Valley out for snow. Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the January snow that hit the foothills, Sun Valley got some, if I remember right. So, because I'm pretty sure people were sending me stuff from Sun Valley. Sun Valley is sitting at a little bit of elevation. If you go over here to this map, do I have an elevation option on this? Hold on, let me look at something. Let me look at my legend. I think I just have to zoom in here. Okay, layers. Okay, I think if I zoom in, one of these shows elevation. Come on, here it is. Here we go. And obviously, Sun Valley with its hills. Here, can you see this? Do I have the right? Yes. Okay, here's Sun Valley. Let me use this for an example, okay? Can you see those numbers? Here's some elevation. Lake Louise Road. Now, this looks like a little hill near it. So some of these might be the foothills. Okay, Lake Whatcom Boulevard. I don't know if that's a foothill, 300 feet. Some of these upper areas of, I don't know these roads, although I don't know all of where they are. I mean, I can see it, but some of these roads we've taken in the snow. Some of you will remember that live, that we almost bit it in, I forget the gate numbers. You guys have helped me with this before, but some of this is 500, 600 feet. So 413 off of Marigold. Again, it's showing like it's a little hill there. And obviously the hill's up behind it. And then if you look across the lake, if you're in Sun Valley at the golf course or, on the water there, and you look across the lake, you see those foothills, 1,400 feet. Well, that's an easy one that could happen. So 2,400 feet, that's plenty of elevation to see snow in this setup. They're probably going to have some snow. By the way, Sumas Mountain has snow on it because the snow levels were low. and we got precipitation, and they got snow, and the twin sisters got a bunch of snow. I saw that tonight. So, probably should put this link in here in the live. But you can look at kind of your own area. You can also Google. A lot of times your area, you can find what your elevation is pretty easily. You just got to know how to do it, but it's pretty easy to find that. Okay, Laura says, I'm at 1,100 feet. How much snow might we get? Well, first of all, I don't know where you are at 1,100 feet. I can't remember. You've probably told me in the past. But 1,100 feet is a lot better than 100 feet. It's a lot better chance. But again, it's going to be where do the showers, how much precipitation's left. But you have a better chance than most of us down in the lowlands. Okay. Brandy says all she needs is a chance. I know that. Yeah, this is not seeming like, this would be a wet snow, I think. Probably more of a wet snow variety. I know that northeast wind's going to try to kick in, but the Monday night, Tuesday, before that wind kicks in, this is all wet snow. Or would be, potentially. It would make a snowman. I don't even know if there'll be enough snow down here in the lowlands to make a snowman. Because like I said, I don't know if we'll really see much here in the lowlands. U Street Hill, maybe they have a chance. Okay, Steph says shows answers for Vancouver area this week. Oh, that's one caught me by surprise. I was not prepared for Vancouver area. I doubt Vancouver's going to see much. Let me just quick pull this up. Hold on. Let me switch this back out because I can just zoom in on using their Canadian high-res map here. Just a second. Let me go back to here. This is the Canadian map. Now, I think I can pull up Canada, and we're going to do Vancouver. Let's see. How'd we do? Okay, now, I am not the expert on this. Obviously, as we back this out, this is through Tuesday. What time frame? This week. Yeah, the high-res maps don't go out. See, this only goes out to late Tuesday afternoon. But Vancouver, I mean, these are all mountains. This pink and purple or whatever color. I'm not seeing a whole lot on the Canadian resolution showing Vancouver. But again, it would be that same thing. Not a lot of precip left because it's going to the south. Just doesn't look like a huge amount. So at this point, again, let me look at one thing here. ECCB. Let me see if I got to do this off the top of my head. Environment Canada. I'm just curious to know if they might have. I think Jen sent me something earlier. Hold on a second. I need to find the weather. Where's the weather? Hold on. Let me find it. I know I usually go in through the Twitter page. That is not what I want. Let's try ECC BC. Is that it? I might even have the wrong... Okay, I'm not pulling this up here. I'm sorry, but I know... Well, actually, let's do it this way. Environment, Canada, weather, Vancouver. Okay, there we go. That's the way to do it. They're calling a chance of flurries or rain shower. Same thing. 60. I mean, they're actually giving a 60% chance. Thursday, sunny. Friday, again, a chance of flurries or rain showers. So basically the same. They have a special weather statement out for, okay, interesting. Higher elevation, impactful amount of snow possible. So this is elevation. Metro Vancouver, Fraser Valley, including Abbotsford and Mission. Monday morning through Monday night. Oh, that's interesting. They're saying it that way. Low pressure systems diving from Alaska down. Light precipitation. Cold front will sweep across the region through the day. But again, it's going to be warmer down here for, but they're saying snow in elevation. Chance of locally intense convective snow showers Tuesday through Thursday. But again, you don't know where those are going to set up. Snow levels expected to fluctuate between 400 and 100 meters. So, 1,000 to less feet. Wet snow, here it is, may mix in lower elevations during heavier showers. This is all what I said. So, locally higher snowfall accumulations where heavier precipitation bands occur. So, same thing. Motorists should be prepared. I mean, it's basically all the same things that I just said on my live here tonight. And I think Jen posted this in our one of the posts tonight. Jen also mentions that what I've been talking about tonight is all in the pinned forecast post. So I probably will not make a summary. I will dump a link to that in the live, and you can read that. Okay? Luba does not want the snow. She wants it at my house. I'd gladly take it to my house. Okay? Okay. Aaron's going to bring snow to my house for the win the contest. Okay? Yeah, again, Guide Meridian. Israel's asking about the Guide Meridian. I just can't answer that. Is it possible it could see? Yes. I just can't tell you if it's going to actually happen. So, Keith Watts. Hey, yeah, Keith was late tonight. That's okay. He probably had other stuff to do. What's going on? What did you miss? Not much. Chance of snow showers, possibly. Don't know where. Low elevation. I don't know. If you have elevation, you have a better chance, but not a ton of shower, not a ton of precip. It's kind of going to our south. So, and maybe with, a heavy shower, that could bring the snow level, or if it happened overnight, could dump a quick half an inch. Foothills maybe somebody gets an inch. Maybe somebody gets a little more. Maybe somebody doesn't get anything, whoever somebody is. So, okay, Northwest Spirit said an inch at 500 feet. Okay, yep, got it. 700, 800 feet in Upper Gate. Okay, we found that. Okay. Unofficial Washington State. Hello, how are you? Asked a question a few minutes ago. What are the models showing for Duval at 410 feet elevation? Okay, I'll pull up, and I'll just do this for you here real quick. Let me pull up her here a second. And let me, hold on one sec. Let me pull up down there. So I got to go back to cities, Seattle. Okay, because that's going to be the closest one. So pull up. Now, where's Duval? Duval is it off of 203? Where, I know Duval, is that kind of where, like, why do I think Cedar Crest High School is in Duval? Okay, I'm not going to look at your comments. I'm going to see, where is Duval? I know where it is. I just don't know exactly what, okay, let's see. Ha! I got it! It was off 203. I think I've been through there once in my life. And it is where Cedar Crest is. Okay, I purely did that off my memory, which isn't always good. Okay, so now that I know, it is directly kind of east of, I guess, Woodinville. I'm just looking, we're on this map. Okay, so I go back to the for snow, and I'm just going to push this forward. I mean, boy, this is hard for me because I lining this up. I mean, again, if you have elevation, it's a possibility. As you go through Monday night into Tuesday, it's just the HER isn't showing a much. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Let me look at one other high res just for that area down there. Let's see if the NAM shows anything else. I mean, it's just so hit and miss here. So it's so hard for me to say. If you have elevation, maybe. I'm just trying to line up where Duval would be here on this map. Let's see, Whatcom, Skagit, Snohomish, King. Because I think it's in King County. I mean, maybe there's a small chance. So, okay, east of Bellevue, which is east of Redmond, basically hugging the foothills. Okay. Jen posted the special weather statement. Steph mentions her dog has a physical therapy appointment in Vancouver this week. Okay, so the later in the week, that seems like less snow chances, at least tonight. But just keep an eye on that. It seems like Monday night and Tuesday would be our chance at this point of somebody, especially the foothills elevation. But keep an eye on it. I wouldn't, if it were me, and I know I like to drive in the snow, but if it were me at this point, if it's later in the week or Thursday, I would hold off on canceling it. If it was like Tuesday morning, I might consider it, but I would hold off just to kind of see how this goes, especially if it's like toward the end of the week. And, I-5 going into Vancouver, I don't know where it is, if it's elevation in Vancouver area. Obviously they've got some elevation in different parts of, Simon Fraser is a few meters up. They get snow at Simon Fraser rather easily because it's up in elevation. And, some of the foothill areas, obviously, of Vancouver. So I don't know where the appointment is. But if it's close to the water, I would say, yeah. If you live in Sutton Valley and you can get out of there, your probably hardest point would be there, assuming it isn't in some foothill like across the border and, some elevated foothill. T-Death is asking for a blizzard. Well, not at this point happening. Okay, Keith. Yep. Yep. Help setting up OBS. Okay, I'm just looking. Got some pictures of steam venting out of Mount Baker. Okay, I saw your pictures the other day. That was great. Found your page. Okay, unofficial Washington State is confirming. Jen hopes that she's the somebody that gets snow. Okay, Wednesday afternoon, not much elevation at all. Okay, Steph is answering when the appointment. Do you know, ma'am? You don't have to tell me exactly where it is in Vancouver. Just not. I mean, I know they're talking about with some elevation here. I wouldn't personally cancel it at this point. Um, at, Maybe let's kind of see how things play out tomorrow night. I don't know how late if you get dinged for 24 hours or less canceling it. So you'd have till Tuesday afternoon if it were that 24-hour cancellation before they ding you for $75 or whatever. I would hold off because I kind of at this point I'm just not seeing a lot of that kind of stuff by the time you get to Wednesday afternoon. And during the afternoon, you're warming up temperatures. So you wouldn't have roads that would be freezing. Even if you were to get snow in the low elevations overnight, it's probably going to warm up and melt pretty quickly. That's another thing that most likely would happen, I think, unless I'm missing something. And they could be missing these high temps by a little bit, but the high temps, let me switch back to our forecast map here. Hang on, let me switch this. But as you look at the high temps here, during the daytime, say on Wednesday, they're saying 42 degrees. Now that's in Linden. Let's put up Blaine, for instance, because you would be going through Blaine, right? I'm assuming you'd go up, through the Peace Arch Crossing. So you put Blaine 41 degrees on Wednesday. I mean, 30% chance of precip. Yes, there's a chance. I just think that, and I'm spending a lot of time on this, I wouldn't cancel the appointment if it were me. So, now if you see the forecast say, okay, now we missed something, it's a 60% chance, as or something changes and we're all of a sudden calling for snow, yeah, then maybe. So, especially if you have an all-wheel vehicle too. Anyway. Okay, one other thing, I will pass my time. I've had a long weekend here, but I wanted to touch base on, again, if you have joined us late, please like the stream on YouTube and love it on Facebook. But if you've joined us late, thank you for the comments, by the way. But you can check the pinned forecast post Jen wrote earlier, I believe today. Check it out. That's got the great info that you want. Basically everything I've said tonight in short form, okay? And also, if you want to also kind of see a bigger view, check out Scott Sistek's post that he wrote. Scott Sistek, meteorologist from Seattle, he wrote a longer, elaborated post. He's a much better writer than I am. But he also I don't think he likes to be on air. He was always a meteorologist that was kind of behind the scenes. And read Scott's post if you want. I don't think it's too technical. And he puts it in terms that the common, the people that maybe don't know weather as much or meteorology terms, you can understand it. And he's very good with his humor, probably a dry humor. But Scott's a great writer. And so if you go over to Scott Sistek, plug for him tonight. I know Washington Weather Chasers and Scott are working together in collaboration for their posts, it appears to me, by what I'm seeing. So you can even go to Washington Weather Chasers and click on it there. And just give him a like as well, just because he's putting in a lot of work. And he knows our area, especially Seattle. So, a good guy. So, but I was going to stay, one other thing I want to do is let's look at the snowpack, the latest snowpack. And I have a link. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah, you see that? That's still up. Okay, let me see if I can click on this link here. And let's look at how the snowpack in the mountains on the snowpack on the mountains here looks like. Let's look at the west side. It's not going to be good. But this is a big picture here. Can we see this? Yes, you can see it, I believe, on OBS or through OBS showing it. So that means you're seeing it. So you can see a ton of red still. And this is big area region. We're in the region that's 54% and then 72% in northern central Washington on the east side. But when we dive in deeper in just a minute, as we look at the actual state, you're going to see our areas better than that. The Olympics are dragging us down. But you see southern Washington, Oregon, northern California, no good. Okay? That's going to change. I think they're going to see some down in southern Oregon, I hope. if what we're seeing is somewhat correct. Now, let's dive into Washington a little closer. That was the bigger picture map. So I'm going to pull up the state, and it's generating the image here. Okay, so remember what I said? I said that our area is not horrible. It's not great, but we're still at snowpack as of Valentine's yesterday. And there wouldn't be much that probably would have changed. Obviously not really any snow, but this number's not going to change. I told you Northern Washington was in good shape, and I know this because we talked about this the last couple times we've been live. We're still in the North Cascades 75% and Upper Columbia 94%. That's good, but here's the Olympics are dragging, and the Central Puget Sound, that's dragging the whole region down. And so, and you can see, not good here. Central Columbia, 65%, but down in the South Cascades, even the Central, no good. And then if you pull up Oregon, which we can zoom in here on Oregon really quick. And again, I hope you could see this as I switch over. Yeah, I think you can. Let me pull Oregon. Oh my. That is no good. So, honestly, we need to get some snowpack in the state of Oregon because that's not a good boating for the summer, okay? Now, we are running out of time in the winter. I mean, we're now in the second week of February, heading into what? Basically the third week. And now a lot of the snow is pushing away from us, but down south, that's probably a good thing for them. So, and then we look at California, you dig deeper into California snowpack, and you'll see this as it generates. Yeah, I'm not sure why we're not reporting all this area, but the Klamath Falls area, bad. Even, Truckee, Tahoe area, not horrid, but not great. So, and I think, and if we go back here, and I'm going to have to look at a low resolution map here. Let me show you this a second. If we go back, I'm going to pull up the Euro for snow, which is a low resolution map. Hang on. I've got too many things that I've opened up here. Let's pull up this one. Let me bring back the Euro because I want to show you California. Actually, I'm going to show you the West Coast here. And then, see, here's the West Coast. And not sure. Let's pull up the 18Z. The 0Z is just running here. So let me pull up the run before today. I'm just going to, you can see, it appears like, if I'm running this right, that, hold on. Let me get this. Let me pull up this. Okay, see down here, it looks like California is getting snow as we go in. Look at this. We're not getting much, but again, Oregon, maybe some, but look at California. They seem to be the big winners. I told you, somebody was going to get it. It's just not happened to be us at this point. But you see that here. How much snow potentially coming to these mountains. This is good news. If this happens, okay? We got, again, I thought we were going to get more snow up here. And while we did get a foot up in a ski area, it don't look like a ton coming. So, yeah, yikes. Okay, yes, and we have had snow in March. And let me clarify, yes, and mountains can get snow into April easily and even into May. So yes, but we're kind of coming on the backside of the winter, and now we're not seeing as much snow as we thought we were going to get. It's kind of getting pushed back up here in the North Cascades. But again, as we go back to that snowpack water equivalent, the snow water equivalent, how much water you would get when the snow is melted, which is important for the summertime. We're not looking the worst in shape at this point, okay? But we're also not looking the best. But seeing Oregon and maybe this California, that's good. Good for them, for sure. So, okay. Oh, okay. Somebody's asking about the European that's showing 4.3 inches. Okay. And I'm assuming that's for the lowlands. I'm not sure where you're talking about exactly in Whatcom County. Let me just talk about, and I did already talk about this a little bit. I did not show you the global snow maps tonight because they're showing snow in the lowlands, but they are poor resolution. They think we're part of the mountains and the foothills. But I'm going to show you this. Let's just pull up Seattle. That's our closest map. And let me pull up, since the Euro is out tonight, at least for part of the week. Is it? Well, it's not out very many hours. Let's see if it's going to make an attempt at giving us some snow. Yes, of course it does. Not a lot, though. Well, up here. But this, again, is a very poor resolution map. Okay? Yes, when it comes to snow, because it thinks we're part of, at times. Now, this is an interesting thing. It's trying. Again, I'm not saying this couldn't happen, by the way. Again, if it was the right timing and there was enough precip and it was at overnight, we definitely, somebody could see a quick inch. That's not out of the question. Okay? Let me just pull up. The 18Z didn't have anything, really. 12Z, not a whole lot. 6Z made an attempt, but you see, every model run, it's switching where the snow might run. It doesn't really know. It's just taking it might think it knows. And then if you look at the GFS, which is notoriously horrible for getting snow, tonight's run, oh yeah, wants to give a bunch of area snow down here in Skagit. And look, yeah, this is crazy. I mean, it makes an attempt, buries the Olympics, but this is so low resolution, I wouldn't buy any of this. So, oh, you were talking Vancouver, Washington. I thought you were, okay, sorry. You're saying Vancouver, Washington. Okay, well, I'll pull up there and there. That's a possibility that further south, because again, the bulk of the precip is pushed south of Whatcom. So I have not looked in at Portland or Vancouver area. Let me pull up Portland here, and let me go back then to the Euro here. And again, I know where Vancouver is, but trying to sometimes find it on these maps. So this is tonight's run. Somewhere in here, yeah, it's trying to probably make an attempt at some snow, and again, it would be showery in nature, and this resolution is pitiful. So, so what we will want to look up here is let's pull this back, because this is about as far as I can go in hours. If I pull up the NAM, which goes out, if you pull up this high resolution, all of a sudden there ain't much snow coming for that area. So, because the resolution's better on these higher res maps, especially when it comes to snow. It doesn't mean the European can't pick it up. It can. It's just, I'd be very careful with the low res maps, and again, not saying you can't, because there is some precip coming. I just don't know that area as well as I know Whatcom. So, okay, everyone, I got to call it a night. Thanks for joining me. We'll touch base with you again. Check the forecast post. It's been written. Jen did a great job. Really appreciate her help on this page, and I just want to state, just go to that, because that's going to be, and we'll keep an eye on things. Okay, everyone? Thanks again.